everybody, back to the Darkest Fears podcast, and today we are going to be talking about In a Violent Nature.
They told Johnny they found a bag of toys, and that he should meet them at the old fire tower. So Johnny snuck out camp at night. He climbed up the top of the tower, but there were no toys. Just one of the men in a creepy old firefighter's mask waiting to scare him. And he did. Johnny fell from the tower. His neck snapped as soon as it hit the ground. But when Johnny's dad found the body a day later, he knew those guys had something to do with it. So he confronted them in the mess hall and a fight broke out, and when the dust settled, Johnny's dad was dead. Well, that happened a week later.
Wait, so what happened next?
A couple of the execs from the company showed up to the camp, and every single person was dead.
And I saw this one a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I know it's a simple, like, slasher film, but that's kind of what I liked about it. There was no frills, no, like, heavy backstory or anything like that. It was just straight up kills and just, like, one right after the other. And I was just like, hey, I am totally fine with that. There's, like, barely any dialogue from the dumb people that he kills throughout this movie, so I was pretty happy about that too. What did you think, Mike?
I think I was misled. I mean, yeah, I know I'm pretty harsh on slashers, but I think I let the hype kind of get me. Not that I was expecting more than what I really got, but I think it was just a couple of misleading, like, hype articles that I read that was like saying there's no story leading up to it, and I was just like, great, this sounds awesome. And then, like, the first 20 minutes I completely just blanked out. I was just like on my phone, like, yep, teenagers are talking. Teenagers are talking. And I realized they're setting up the myth and everything, but it's just like, and I gathered that much, but I was just like, okay, when is it gonna happen? Yeah, and it just, I mean, I didn't hate it. I would probably watch it again. Slashers really just are not my thing. I think that, the reason I like Terrifier is because I don't love slashers, and it was a breath of fresh air. And like we said on our last episode, like, that first one was to the point. And there was some humor there that gave Art some character. But other than that, it was just like brutal kills and terror, like, most of the time. There was a little dilly-dallying with the girl with the cell phone and stuff. But like with this, I think my least favorite part was the ending. The last...
I could agree.
It might have been 10 minutes, but it felt like 30 minutes. And it made me so fucking furious. Especially because this is another movie where they're like, it was in a violent nature, carves out its own path. And In a Violent Nature is an ambient slasher. And In a Violent Nature it's like, why are you making another genre up, first of all? Second of all, like, they might have just been too broke to have music in the fucking movie. I don't know. I mean, it was cool. I definitely dug it, but like, the whole fucking, like, I'll say I love two kills a lot. A couple of the other kills were so, but two of the kills I really loved, and I know everybody's gonna know the one kill that I really loved. I mean, how could you
Yeah.
that one? But I was expecting more kills to be like that. And then I love the quick, brutal knife kill to the face towards the end. I think it's the last male that gets it. That was cool. I like the angle of that because it wasn't like you're seeing the gore or anything. You're just like hearing what the fuck is happening and seeing him swing that knife. Didn't love the like sawmill kill. I just thought that was really like them going for like a weird artsy camera angle, but it didn't really affect me. Like, it was a really horrible kill to think about, in hindsight, but just like the way it was presented, I was just kind of like ho-hum about. But that last 30, 15, 10, whatever, however long that fucking daylight scene is at the end, broke me. I was like pissed after that went off. I was just like, because I stayed up a little past, like a little longer than I really fucking should have to fucking watch that movie at that point, and I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, it's a great scene because there's so many moments she can just fucking get it. She can just get it at any point, and the hitchhiking girl can help her get it. She tells the creepy story about her brother getting mauled by a bear, and it's just like the tension in that scene is fucking fever pitch, and then nothing happens. Like, I'm sorry to spoil it, but nothing happens, and it made me so mad. Like, it brought back memories of, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was just like her getting away in the truck, and then at the very last frame, it's like, but wait, and then you're just supposed to shit your pants, but that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
so
I think I agree with you there. That ending
yeah.
is super frustrating because there's such a huge buildup, and I thought that something like super brutal was gonna happen,
Yeah.
and then it
It
just
didn't even have
didn't
to be
happen.
brutal. Wouldn't have even like fronted on like a quick jump scare. Like when they stop and she's like, "Let me tie off your leg." Like if I would have just saw him standing in the woods like Jason or Michael in the distance,
Yeah,
that would I would have satisfied with that.
yeah. I would have
Um,
even been like grateful for that too, because when they did that like hard like stare into the woods, I was like expecting him to just kind of mosey through the weeds and then
yeah,
just like
and it still does the same
straight up.
purpose. Like she's still terrified, and like we get that, but it doesn't need to be that long of a scene. Like she's gonna be
Yeah,
fucked in the head forever. I get it. But like, if he would have came out and fucking got the driver, or
yeah, just like hooked her in the back and just tore her spine out
speaking
or
of
some
hooks,
shit.
like all I was thinking of was like for him to be like a mile down the road, just like swinging his hook, just waiting,
Yeah,
and to just
dude.
like throw it through the windshield at the last moment. I would have been like, "Fuck yes, that is awesome!" Like if they
Yeah,
would have
there was
spent
a
all their
missed
budget on like
opportunity.
a car wreck there or an explosion, like something. Um,
Yeah,
and I get it. Like it still played up that like fear that she's always gonna have. Like she's never gonna be able to look in bushes or woods again. I get that, but yeah, I mean, like a lot of the kills didn't really hit it with me, and like I feel the beginning, the whole like them camping and having a good time. It was cool to see him. Like they said this was from the killer perspective, and I was hoping for more of like a first person view,
me too.
especially
Um,
after he got the gas mask, maybe like some shitty goggle view or something, at least once
right.
or twice. But like for the camera to be like nearby him watching them, like we've done that a lot with Myers and Jason. Like we've done that a lot, and it would have been cool for a couple frames, but it was just like I wish he would have picked them off quicker and more brutally, I guess, and maybe more tension to flow there. And all the killings are kind of grouped in that like one knot. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was terrible by any means, and I'd probably watch it again. But I like how loose the Lockett story is. Like,
Yeah,
it's just such a throwaway fucking story.
yeah.
It's funny.
And that's funny because if you mentioned that, because I really didn't pay attention to that. I was just kind of like just waiting for the next thing to happen. And somebody like mentioned to me, well, that's where kind of the backstory is. And I was like, maybe I missed it. I don't know. Maybe I
Yeah,
missed it. And then I went back to it and I watched it again and I was just like, oh, okay. Well, yes, this is telling like sort of like a backstory. And I was like, because I was initially wrong when I told you like, oh, there's no backstory. It
yeah.
just
I
it
just feel
just
that scene
happens.
kind of just ran, man. Like,
Yeah.
and then
But
they do their little like teenager camping. I mean, they're like 20, but they're doing their like little like young adult camping jokes, cracking on each other, sneaking off
yeah.
to make it. And I don't care about that shit anymore. Like, I was really hoping for a straight up like, I'm resurrected. Is that smoke and fire and people? Well, here's my knife and my gas mask. Let me go just stab them a bunch. Like, I was just fucking
Right.
hoping for that.
And I think what made me enjoy this movie was the lack of the score.
Yeah. Oh no, that's great.
Because you get like all these slashers that have like this basic ass score. It's all usually the same formula, same thing,
It's
and
either
it
a
kind of,
theme
but
song or
this
a
movie
generic
felt
synth.
right, exactly. And this movie felt a little different without a score because just made it feel like a little more real in a sort of way. But I know like it's highly impossible for like a super like disfigured retarded dude to be out in the woods and just killing people. But I don't know,
Yeah.
it just gives you that sense of tension throughout. And Yeah, at that I thought that was one thing that I really liked about it because it made it feel a little bit different than most slashers.
I feel like they
Um,
did good budget wise too. Like they did not put any money where they did not need to. So I would be interested to see. I'll probably look it up later. But what the fuck the actual
yeah,
budget
and
was?
also the disconnect from the victims because you know how most slashers kind
There's
of
some
hone in
familial link
on.
and shit like that.
Yeah,
Like
and they hone in on the victims and make you like kind of sympathetic for them or make you feel something for them.
right. And I
This
don't want
one
any
just
of that
like
so much that like I don't even want to see a moment of a character bonding with another character. I just want like
exactly.
fucking
And like this one is just like makes you feel absolutely nothing for these people.
yeah. I
It
don't want
just
to know
makes you
if him and her boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't even want to take it that far. I just want him to be
right.
like, those are humans. Stab. Like
Yeah, and that's
and
what
we
I kind
almost
of
got
got.
there. Yeah, we almost
Yeah,
got
and
there.
I almost yeah, I mean I got that sense anyway. I got that kind of feeling like, this is just something that's just happening and, this guy is just out in these woods. He may have lived out here all his life or whatever, which I think you get some of that in that locket scene. And and these people are just kind of out here and he's always had the sense of just like fucking brutally just killing people. And there's no when I said to you like there's no character build up, I mainly meant the victims. Like there's
Right.
really no like character build up
And I
with
get
them.
that,
There's
like, when
no
he's stalking them, you're gonna hear, like, some shit. It's not really there for us to learn
it's
about the
really like
character.
vague
Yeah,
though. It's super vague and it's like off in the distance. You don't
right.
give
It's
a
more like a
fuck what they're
creepy
saying.
observer thing.
Yeah, you don't give
Um,
a fuck what they're saying or anything like that. It's just mainly like you're getting it from like sort of from his perspective. I wish, like you said, it was more of a first person thing, which was what I was kind of expecting.
yeah, I didn't mind
Um,
some over the shoulder shots. I'm all for, like, experimental shots, like, especially, like, when they were going through the woods. I was like, man, if they're going this far with camera angles, like, imagine, like, an old school GTA, like, bird's eye view of
yeah,
him just, like, walking through the woods. That would have been a great shot. And there is great shots in this. Like, don't let me get you wrong. The shot of him overlooking the valley after the best kill in the movie is, like, a beautiful fucking
I
shot.
every time I see it, I'm like, man, I gotta paint this or something.
Yeah,
Like,
and I feel
and I
like
had a friend, I have a friend Jared who told me the same thing. Like every time I would post it as like a teaser for us or whatever, he was just
right.
like, man, I feel like I gotta paint that or some shit.
Yeah.
Like it's just beautiful.
It's funny because
But
when I first saw it, I was like, this looks like West Virginia, but it's actually Ontario. And
yeah,
it would have been fine in West Virginia too, but like I feel like him stalking that girl, that kill, the disposal of the body, and like that shot, like if the movie would have just repeated that 4 or 5 times, it would have been an amazing fucking movie. Like it didn't have to like go into some ATV chase, go into some park ranger, which the park ranger shit
right.
wasn't bad. But like it didn't have to be like that. Like if they would have had the creativity of those kills, kept that hook with him, like, oh man, I would have been fucking so stoked.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that hook kill, I was like, yes, yes, this is cartoony, Looney Tune bullshit, but yes. The only thing that I feel would have made, and he may have because I was watching it on my smaller bedroom TV, so I didn't really see detail. But when she's just standing there and how he gets rid of the body, I don't know if she just fell or if he pushed her down into the
I
ravine.
I I think he pushed her.
Okay.
He
But
kind of
even
kicked her
if,
off the ledge, I think.
okay, that's what I was hoping for. That's the only reason I want to rewatch it because I'm like, if he just punted her off the ledge after that, that's fucking perfect. But the shot is so wide, and it just like makes it feel so insignificant. Like if you were from where the camera was camping with your family, you'd probably be like, "Did somebody just hear something in the river? Like something fall in the river? Like because the shot is pulled back so fucking far when that body just
Yeah,
like rolls into the ravine. It's like it's nothing, a pebble just fucking rolling into a creek."
right. I think, that's what's kind of cool about this movie is that like I was saying before, it just makes these people just feel absolutely insignificant. Like they mean nothing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a nihilistic kind of viewpoint.
Right, and they
Um,
really are, like, and if you look back on, like, so many slashers, people have their favorite survivors or
right.
their favorite victims. They always used to try to
And
make everybody unique and everybody like, this is the druggie and this is the scared. I mean, that was all the way up to Freddy vs. Jason, they were still doing that
yeah,
shit.
Yep.
And this is just a handful of people who just get it.
Yeah. And I really wish that there was no final girl. Like, why did you have to do that?
Yeah, I don't even
That
remember like what happened. I remember she had the gas in her hand and like the other thing. And then I looked down for a couple minutes and she was just taking off running and I was like, did she plant a bomb or something? And then like I zoned out so much that I just like saw her like on the highway next and I was like,
that entire ending
okay.
scene wasn't needed. I think if they just would have ended it with everybody just getting it, it would have been perfect.
Yeah. And I think it would have just fucking paid off so good if you would have threw that meat hook. Or like she's freaking out about getting her wound tied off, and that fucking driver gets the meat hook, and he just like pulls the body into the woods, and she's just like
Right.
screaming. Just like end it
Like
there.
like something
We don't need. She could have
that
still
would have tied it together.
survived, but I would have liked to see somebody get it because that last 30 minutes is just like something's gonna happen, and it just doesn't. And it's terrifying because on both sides of that highway, for as far as you can see the entire time they're driving, is forest, and you're just like, you
Yeah,
can be
it's
anywhere.
pure dense woods.
And I wish they would have just took it upon themselves rather than posted that fucking the final frame right before the credits roll because I was like, that is just stupid. What is that? And then now
Yeah,
we
and I
know they're gonna milk it. Well, I won't say
Yep.
milk it yet. Maybe they're just wanting more money to do more creative kills. If they do the same shit with better kills and not a dumb ending, great. I'll be there for it. But if we get a 3 and a 4 in a couple years, I'm just gonna be like, God damn it.
Yeah, and I really hope that's not going to be the case, but as they've already announced a sequel. I mean, I would go see it because I was really intrigued by this one. I liked it up until the ending. And
Yeah.
I really hope that maybe with the second one they'll kind of redeem themselves on that and give us a better ending.
Yeah. I think
Who
maybe like,
knows?
it also depends on when and where you watch it. Like I was all fucking snuggled up in bed, fucking gonna be like, I'm gonna pass out after I watch this. So I wasn't really like totally zoned into any details and might have missed a lot and wasn't like, wide awake for whatever was coming. So when there were lulls in the movie, I was just like, come on, somebody bleed, please. Or, when there was a not okay kill, I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I would just bitch about it till another kill came around that was much better. Like, I think if you're gonna have a slasher, I think every kill needs to just be either like quick, over with, and impactful, or just like really brutal and creative. Like it's got to be one or the other. And there were some soft ones here that I was like, I mean, Friday the 13th did worse in some of these kills, and Halloween did worse in some of these kills. I really liked the quick knife stabbing of that boyfriend at the end, and I really liked the girl at the ravine. But other than that, it was kind of whatever. Like I really liked when the trooper had the shotgun. That whole scene was cool. But his whole like dismemberment scene, I was just like, I mean, it is really disconnected. So maybe that's why I wasn't invested in what was happening. That scene was just so disconnected. I was like, I don't even feel bad for this guy, and he's literally getting chopped up.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that you notice first, like right off the bat with this movie. It's just like because it just kicks off right away, and it's just pure random like chaos right from the get go. And I mean, it's not like a whirling chaos; it's more like calculated chaos, I think, and it's just pure, just like I don't care who you are. I don't care why you're here or what, but I'm gonna kill you, and you're dead.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made me like this one a little more than most slashers. But it's a slasher, and you don't get a lot out of those, and you don't find a lot that are that interesting. So it's all kind of like the same thing. It's all the same movie almost. They have the same formula. But this one felt a little different. It did a couple of things different than most slashers would. I don't know. That's what made me like it.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look up like what inspired it, it kind of makes sense. Like super slow burn Gus Van Sant films, which he never did anything really horror based, but any movie that he does, even if it is a messed up movie in some way, it's a really long, slow burn. And it's cool to see a slasher do that, but still have some impactful kills, even if I didn't like all of them. Like, and the other thing that they were really inspired by, they said, was like nature documentaries. Like, they just wanted that sense that like this is familiar, but it's not gonna hurt you. You know, like you always know, like park rangers don't mind getting close to bears because they know to be cautious, but they know, like, what's not going to set a bear off. And it's like, well, what do you do when you do set the fucking bear off? And you see tourists who like get close to deer and shit, not knowing that, or not thinking that a deer can turn around and gore you with its antlers. And they were kind of going for that vibe, and I get that, but I guess it's hard with the slasher genre because there's been so many like tall, stocky, brick shit house slashers, So like I've seen Jason do that so many times and exhibit his powers so many times. I can't really be like, oh shit.
Yeah, by no means this movie is perfect. And I think one of the flaws I have is the actual Locket, like the Locket backstory kind of scene.
I don't
Because
much of
I
that.
didn't even pay attention to it, honestly. Didn't, because I felt like the movie didn't even need it. If
Yeah.
it was cut out completely and you had no idea who this dude was,
It could have been a literal like redneck in the woods mad, and I still would have been okay with it. But this made me want because this is the only bit of supernatural part of the movie. And I feel like they did it well. They reined it in. They didn't you didn't have Michael Myers level shit of like, he's behind you every 5 seconds, like you
No.
didn't have that. You got to see him walk to people.
It's pretty natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with the Locket thing in the beginning, I was really hoping for like the classic like Jason rising out of his grave shit. I was like, if that happens right now, I'm gonna be totally stoked, and it just didn't. And I was like, okay, maybe they don't have the budget for that right now.
Well,
That's fine. But...
it's almost like a mixture of Jason Voorhees and Crowley a bit.
Yeah.
From Hatchet.
Yeah.
And I wish they wouldn't have added that in there. I wish it just would have been just like an anonymous thing.
I wish they don't play on it more. Like, if they're gonna have it there and be there in the sequels, fine, but don't cross that threshold into like he's an evil demon or something fucking weird like that. We don't need that.
No, I just wish it was just more of an anonymous thing. Just like this is just something that just happened.
Yeah,
and like no meaning, no rhyme or reason.
I mean, look at like how effective Deliverance was and Hills Have Eyes. Like, whether we're talking the originals or the remakes, like they were great because it's just fucking hill people. Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah, and like they've been out there all their lives, and it's just been like, and these people just come across their land, and they just fuck them up.
And maybe he basically is a fucking a hilljack, but they're just in Ontario, so they're not like American hilljacks. Like, I don't know, he was a coal miner, so there's that. But like, it was the first time in a while that I felt a tornado siren was really fucking effective. When he went to the museum to get his mask, I was just like, oh great, they're just using a tornado siren. And then after like 5 minutes of straight tornado siren, I was just like, Jesus Christ, when is this going to end? I really actually did like that scene though. It was pretty cool. Just him stalking through the yard. Like, the fucking security lights turn on, big ass siren goes off, and he's just still pushing forward. Like, whatever. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just somebody that is just like born to kill.
Yeah.
And, I wish that it was more just like that, just more anonymous. Like, you had no idea who or what he is. Kind of like sort of what we got with Art in Terrifier 1. And I wish that like you said, the kills were like some of the kills were a little bit better. But to me it still felt like like very natural.
Yeah.
And like, this is something that could be possible. That
like, a
could
wild ass
happen.
clown isn't natural, but like the gore looked very well. And then like that was when all those crazy clown fucking people were like just staring at people as they drove around in the middle of the night. So like, that made sense. But yeah, I still can't get over fucking Angel Wings bullshit. I mean, like, I finally did see the trailer for 3, and I saw that they're milking the fucking previous victim, and I was like, that's good because she looks creepy as fuck. I'm not gonna like lie about that. But then like, I know like the little girl Terrifier is gonna be in it probably too.
Yeah, the pale girl or
like,
whatever.
Why don't they
call
just
her.
have like armored angels come down like in Dogma and just sword fight at the end? I don't know what's happening to that fucking movie. Like, he's off his shit.
Yeah, man. It like Terrifier 3 just seems so confusing. I don't know why they would have went this route. It really, really makes absolutely no sense.
It would have been fine
Um,
if we were getting Terrifier 1 like in a Christmas setting. I would have been fine with that.
yeah,
But I
like
know it's not.
just go back, to that, man. Like Terrifier 1 to me is almost a perfect slasher. It's
Mhm.
almost perfect. And it has everything that you want in a slasher movie and maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, like I
But
mean there's some comedy there, but it makes you uneasy.
but
The
when
whole
when
piece so
with
far I've seen,
2,
like,
they ramp it up, but it was way too long,
dude,
way too
that
fantastical.
runtime is fucking painful.
Yeah, it's way too fantastical, too much story. And I think it's because he's like, oh, I got a little bit more money, so why not just invest a little bit more into these characters? And it's like, that's not what we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Uh,
like I'm fine with story. I love story, and it's integral for a lot of movies for me. And sometimes it makes a movie for me. A lot of people are the opposite. A lot of people that I talk to with horror movies about, they're like, so and so is, A24 horror movies are the worst thing ever, and they're so boring. And it's like, dude, you don't know what atmosphere is. Like, you don't know how to just sit there and like soak shit in. So if some like body is not like trying to kick in a door or stab somebody every 5 seconds, you're bored. I get that. That's fine, but that doesn't make the movie shit. We're not talking about Demons Within here. We're
no,
talking about fucking production. And like that's my thing. It's like just say it's boring. Don't say it's shitty. Just say it's not your shit. But like I don't mind story for characters, especially in a slasher. But you can't have your runtime be like 45 minutes of fucking exposition and, 10 minutes killing. 45 more minutes of exposition and her going to a Halloween party and making a Halloween costume. And then 10 minutes of fucking killing. Like, I don't care how
yeah,
crazy and brutal the killing is.
it wasn't effective. And I think what made Terrifier effective is because it was just down and dirty.
Yeah.
There was no rhyme or reason, or there was no like huge backstory. There are, of course, like you said, there are movies that need story. They need that atmosphere. They need that build
Right.
up. But for me, in slashers, it's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying.
I'm just looking
I don't
for
mind a little, I don't
I'm
mind
just looking for.
I don't mind, Michael killed his family. Don't mind that. Don't
Don't
mind
mind
it,
that. Yeah.
like, don't mind, it was Jason's overprotective mother type shit. Don't mind that shit at all. Don't mind, we blew him up in the beginning of Jason Goes to Hell. Don't mind, actually, we didn't. We sent him into space in Jason X. Like, I don't mind that shit. I don't mind, wait, you're transporting Jason around in space? Why? Well, let us tell you. I don't mind that shit. But there's still a decent amount of killing in those movies, and those are some of the worst of the series. Like, it's crazy to me, like how over the top he went, and how the shit that he went over the top with was lame. Like, not talking gore, but just like a mystical sword that kills a fucking wild murdering clown.
And I'm sorry, dude, but his whole thing with that was like, well, I was just harkening back to Dream Warriors. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I didn't get that. I
Like,
didn't get that at
yeah,
all out of your additional parts at the end.
yeah, but yeah,
It was fantastical, yeah, but for me with Dream Warriors,
it felt more
the
like Army of Darkness. Like, it felt
yeah,
like that much of a genre change.
yeah.
Because it was just like I was expecting there to be like fucking cave trolls and shit like 20 minutes later. Like, once you bring medieval weaponry into this, it's like, where's the dragon? Where are you gonna slay the dragon? And I don't know why again there's a fucking little girl dressed like Art. What the fuck is happening?
Well, from according to some subreddits that I've read, according to Damien, they're stating that basically Art, the pale girl, and the victim from the first movie are all part now of this like same demonic entity or supernatural force, whatever.
I'm gonna throw up.
And
I'm gonna throw up.
yeah. And apparently, they're all, possessed or, something like
Dude, this
that,
literally
to the
sounds
effect
like
where they're all part of this like entity.
this literally
Then I'm like,
sounds like you're turning like Maniac into like Silent Hill. Like
Yeah.
you went from like something quick, dirty, and easy, like no, now there's mythology and cults and entities that are combined,
Yeah.
but they're not really because I don't want to combine. Like, dude, just stop.
Yeah, just stop it, man. Just let him be a fucking killer.
Yeah,
Like, just let him be killer.
I mean, it would be
Like,
great if
why?
he shakes us and like the first 5 minutes he fucking kills a bunch of people and throws that shit aside, and then the rest of the movie is him killing people on Christmas. I'll fucking shut up. I'll take back everything I'm saying, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Like,
And of course, this is all just assumptions. And and I'm only making these assumptions because that fucking teaser sucked.
yeah, and the
That
first movie
that
was so
teaser
good.
for 3 was awful.
I saw the
I didn't
I
get
didn't see this
wowed.
teaser, but I saw the actual trailer they released. Like I
But yeah,
saw
it
the
was
poster and I was like, "Wow, the poster looks cool," but you can pay any artist to fucking hype that shit up.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but the one that they just dropped, I thought it was just absolutely terrible. I didn't get wowed at all. I didn't get hype. I didn't get, you know, fucking, oh yeah, I'm gonna go fucking see this movie. And I'm gonna still go see it. I'll go see it and I'll see what it's about. I'll see what's going on. Maybe, they're gonna prove me wrong. I don't know.
the only thing
Um,
that I think I'm really looking forward to is Nosferatu and Cuckoo,
yeah,
and that's about it.
I'm really excited for Nosferatu. I think
They sh-
Eggers is
they
gonna.
showed
I think Eggers is gonna kill it.
they showed Don't Speak Now when we went to see Deadpool and Wolverine, but I went with my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother-in-law, and my nephew. And I could hear my sister and my mom like 4 seats down, like, no way. To fucking Don't Speak Now, and they're just saying no way, like they're too scared to see it, and I'm just like, they don't even fucking know. Like, and I was
No,
like,
you mean Speak No Evil?
yeah, Speak No Evil. And I was like leaning over to my brother-in-law explaining like, the culturally why maybe the first one would have been effective if we were Danish or something, but like he was just like, how is this gonna work here? And I was like, exactly.
It's not.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
like McAvoy seems way more intense than the dad was in the previous one. So, I mean, maybe I'll catch it when it's on streaming if it's on something I already have a subscription for. But like,
And
I
from
just
what I'm getting, from what I'm getting in the accent that he's giving in that movie is that they're Irish.
yeah, I'm
And I'm
I'm,
like,
I'm really hoping I just get to see him stoned to death again. Like that's all I want to see. It was that's such an underutilized kill. Is to just like go down there naked and we're gonna throw rocks at you, no matter how long it takes until you're fucking dead. And they even snubbed that because they were like panning the camera up as it was happening.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you keep the camera on those shitty fucking parents the whole time. But I noticed when we rewatched the trailer, I don't think she loses her bunny this time or leaves it there. I think they get ready to leave and they got a flat tire. So there's no like
Something to that effect.
right, but there's no like 40 minutes of being in the clear and gone, and you're like, I gotta turn around for a bunny wabbit, like bullshit. So maybe it's gonna be like, like there's been a few remakes that have fixed the original, honestly, in my opinion. I don't
Oh yeah.
even know any off
Yeah.
the top of my head right now. I mean, like the Dawn of the Dead remake, I never found to be bad, but I never saw the original until after the remake. But it's completely different because it's fast zombies, so it's
Yeah.
like
I mean,
something
it's
different.
kind of the same. It's kind of the same story, but it's definitely
Right.
more intense.
And it's got the fucking the mom zombie that gives birth that's so fucking brutal, dude. But I mean, back to this, I feel like this was a slasher on easy mode, but they didn't fumble. I mean, it's just not my thing, but I don't feel they fumbled at all. Like
No,
they didn't have to
I
worry
feel
about
like-
sets because they're in the woods. So that's money saved. Not worrying about soundtrack is money saved, and I really want to see the actual what a budget it fucking had because they didn't have money for anything, and all they could have spent it on was gore and maybe like getting a shitty vintage costume. But I was reading that I think the director did a skit in ABC's of Death #2, which I don't remember all of those because those were either really bad or like holy shit, what am I watching right now?
Let's see.
And they said In a Violent Nature was originally conceived as a meta sequel within a fictional slasher series. So they were always imagining mayhem beyond the first movie. So they've had something in mind from the fucking get-go, but I don't know what it could be. Because if they have something now like she escapes and then she brings the cops back, that's going to turn into a fucking action movie. Like the only thing I feel like that really pulled that off was Record. because record
Right.
is like we're all locked in the fucking thing, and then slowly people peel off, and then you see the best fucking horrendous ending of all time with the fucking euthanasia woman fucking swinging a hammer at you, and then the next movie is literally like the seconds after that fucking movie ended, and the cops are engineering the building to clear it out, and it's all helmet cam shit. Like I love Record 2 as much as Record 1, but it's kind
Yeah.
of like that.
Those
It's
are
kind of like that Alien to Alien step up. Like if we're gonna go a little harder, it's gonna be action, and it's not gonna be a scare.
right. And those were the movies that really got me into found footage.
Yeah. Oh, me
Um
too.
those are just like fucking classic
It was just crushing
found footage
when the
movies.
directors had different ideas, because the third one is the comedy cruise one, and the fourth one is the wedding one. So like if they would have just stayed on the same fucking track or given it up and did two different titled things, it would have been fine. But instead they were like, well, I want to do a more lighthearted one on a cruise ship, and somebody was like, I want to do a fucking legit scary one, but at a wedding. And after that, I don't think they've worked together again after that, but it just gave us double disappointment, pretty much.
Yeah. And there's another movie, if you haven't checked it out, that's entitled Found Footage. That follows an Australian killer, and it's super good.
Let me look.
It's one of my favorites, and I would actually like to cover it on this channel because it really gives you. I think it's one of those movies that was right next to Poughkeepsie Tapes for me. It's not as
Talk
like
about hype, man. Poughkeepsie Tapes. Fuck. Also, I want to give a shout out, even though we're supposed to be talking about violent nature, but I'm looking at found footage now. I have to give a shout out to Dashcam because I did not think it was great, but it had moments, man, where I was like, "This is fucking."
it's
great.
insane.
Yeah, it's not
straight up
great by
bonkers.
any means, but like the fact that every 20 seconds there's like something else is fucking popping off is great.
Like there's not a dull moment in that movie.
You'll have to send me a
For
link
sure.
to Hell House because I'm not seeing it. But like, dude, there's a lot I haven't watched. Like, I haven't ever watched Lake Mungo. I haven't watched The Bay, which I've been told The Bay is fucking awesome.
The Bay is pretty good.
Oh, I
but
see
yeah,
it now. I see it now. Okay.
Yeah, found footage. It's about an Australian killer, and I definitely would recommend to watch that one. It's pretty good.
Did you ever see the fucking Snowtown murders?
Yeah.
With the guy from The Stranger in it? Man, The Stranger still haunts me. I know that movie didn't really fuck with you as much as it did me, but Stranger fucked me up.
But yeah, back to this movie. Like I said, it's bare bones. There's not like a lot of hype moments in this movie. There, like you said, there are 1 to 2 very super creative kills in this movie, and there's one very notorious kill in this movie, which is the one at the ravine.
And I think it's the first one, which is a bummer because you're like, this is setting the pace. And it feels like instead they blew their wad. I don't know if they did, but it literally just feels like we spent a lot of money on that, guys. We're just gonna have to cut it down to knives and axes.
And that I'm not finding any information on what the budget was.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come out.
Maybe they just didn't want people to know. I don't know, but yeah, it feels low budget, but the cinematography looks really great throughout the movie, because I don't know. Maybe that's where they blew a lot of their cash, is with the camera, because the camera they got in this movie is super good. It's not grainy. It's not like low budget. It's definitely one of the better like film cameras that you can see out today with like even a higher budget movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
I will say that like details are very, very noticeable. The panoramic shots are really fucking beautiful, and they don't really lose a lot of quality like a lot of film cameras do. I just wish there was more of that. Like I have to respect the movie for having a lot of daytime killing and daytime stalking, but there was, when it went to nighttime, I sort of lost a little more interest, because it was like,
I think that is one thing that they could have just stuck with, is like everything just happened during the day.
Yeah, dude. Like,
and that's what made this movie a little bit interesting to me as well, is because most like slasher movies are at nighttime, or it's raining, or it's storming, something like that. Like,
yeah, like if he was a binaural killer and didn't kill at night, and they were just like freaked out the whole time that he's gonna come like kicking the door during the night so they don't sleep, and he's only active during the fucking day, that would have been nasty. But it's like, the hype sucks because you literally don't know anymore. I mean, like, I guarantee directors are paying people all the time, like, hey, you're a publication, hype up my movie, hype up my movie. Like, that has to be how
Well,
shit like Skinamarink fucking
yeah,
gets fucking famous. Like, it has to be,
yeah.
dude. And it's not
Like that,
organic.
everybody's like trying to find a new way to market a movie.
Right, but it's not
Um,
organic. Like and then you get deceived, and then you have a movie like a random Blumhouse movie making fucking bonkers money. Like think of all the Conjurings, which the Conjurings I don't consider terrible. There's quite a few of them I still enjoy, but like I don't consider them great by any means. And then Malignant fucking comes out, and no one cares. I didn't watch
that
Malignant.
movie is so
Dude,
good.
I didn't watch Malignant because I was like, another James Wan movie. Who gives a fuck? I just didn't do it. And finally, one night I was bored, and then I think it was Polly. She was like, "Have you seen *Malignant*?" Or maybe it was you. Somebody did ask me, and I was like, "I'm not even gonna. I don't want to wiki it. I'm just gonna put it on." And I was just like, "What the fuck is happening in this fucking movie, dude?" Like,
It's wild, dude.
it just reminded
And
me of Little Monsters when they fucking blew off the dude's head at the end, and he's got the little fucking
it's
face.
that yeah, dude, it's
Oh,
wild. And I didn't see that movie until after it went to streaming.
yeah,
And I because like you said, as it's another fucking James Wan movie, it's gonna be nothing.
yeah.
And
Which is not fair because that dude helped create Saw, but he needs to fucking sit
but
down
he
and
has
chill.
had a long string
Yeah.
of shit movies,
Yeah, I
dude.
just always forget where he
And
came from.
it's kind of sad, but yeah, like you said, with Saw, um, that's like one of my favorite movies because that fucking twist
Yeah.
at the end is like just fucking something else.
I saw
dude.
that with like one of my friends that was in like, genius classes when we were in middle school and high school. And sometimes he would just have to explain like the shit that I just saw on a movie to me because we would always go see wild ass movies. Like we saw Equilibrium and I didn't really get it. And he explained it to me like later that night. But we saw Saw and I looked at him and he was like, "What the fuck just happened?" And I was like, "Oh no, dude." And
Yeah,
that's I mean, Saw's probably when I fell in love with like thrillers over horror. Like for sure. Like if
and
if you're a
as
movie that's gonna combine that shit, I'm there. I don't even
yeah,
care if
and
it's story heavy or
and
not.
as goofy as Carrie Elwes's performance is in that movie as it can get sometimes,
Yeah.
is still fucking fantastic.
Mhm.
And he sells it, dude. He sells it in that movie so good.
Yeah.
Like he just like he sells that like I'm a shitty doctor, but I'm gonna try and help us get out of this situation the best that I can, and blah blah blah. But
I'm
yeah,
interested in the prequel.
they couldn't have picked a better person for that movie, I don't think.
Probably not. I mean, even the director that did the co-star, the other dude that
Yeah.
wrote it was the co-star. Like he was the best whiny bitch ever.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then when he turns heel, like it's just fucking so great. Yeah, man, that's a classic fucking movie. That's why I want to see the prequel because I'm like I want to put it to bed. And I know John Kramer wants to put it to bed. He's like so over the shit. It's just like,
I watched it and it's really good.
is it okay?
Yeah, it's really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I watched that was like when I went through like all of them. I
did
just
too.
recently. I think it was last year.
Because you
I
told me to
watched
check
all of them.
Spiral out, and then I was like, I'll see it when I see it, like, but I'll keep in mind that Ben told me to watch it, and then Xbox like gave it away free for Halloween, like on a digital download. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's weird. I've never downloaded a movie from Xbox, but sure. I watched it. It was okay. I mean, like, it was just
Spiral was okay.
It was just such a retread of the first one, and the ending just fell apart. Like it just did not make sense at all.
that was my main bitch about that one was the ending.
And
was
then,
just
like, you
didn't-
had two great actors that just like didn't get it going. Like they did not fucking perform well, and that's all good and well. But like, dude, when I tried to watch all of them back to back, like I felt like I was in a fever dream because it was constantly like the cop from number 3. He actually farted in my mom's face. And I'm on like 6, and I'm like, wait, who's the cop in number 3? And it's like Donnie Wahlberg or something. And then he's like, that actually didn't happen. I wafted it into his dad's face. And it's just like, dude, this is getting too much. Like, it was the most fucking convoluted, like, police procedural bullshit ever. And I just wanted it to go back to like, I'm John Kramer, I have cancer, and I hate every human, especially doctors.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I wanted it to go back to. and I hated
Yeah.
like I didn't care about Amanda at all. Like that's what,
Amanda's story is so dumb.
yeah, it just kind of like I just kind of like got over it at that
If she
point.
just would have had her face ripped off in the first one, that would have been great.
Dude, the tossing the dude into the pile of heroin needles that was so good. Just like, man, so many. We should do like a fucking like an episode on like just our favorite like fucking unintentionally hilarious moments in movies. But I
Yeah,
think
just like the funniest segments in horror.
yeah, like I think half of mine are gonna be Dawn of the Dead. Like not even that they're funny moments, but like I said when we did the episode with Sean, like it's just shit that Sean and I said from the movie that like an actor said in the wrong way or the wrong pitch, and then like we would just say it all the fucking time. Like in the beginning when they're trying to do the news story and they're like, no, fuck it, we're going to the mall to go do the news story. And the news producer's like, get back on that console. Like, and the way he fucking yelled it, dude. We used to just yell at each other all the time at work. Like, I'd step away from doing dishes and he'd be like, get back on that console. Like, just stupid shit like that. So I don't even know how good it would be, but. And I'm the type of kid that, like, when I watched Leprechaun didn't make me laugh until I was like 20. It scared the fuck out of me. Like, dude, I was Garth. Like, Leprechaun terrified me.
Dude, I rewatched, like, I remember, like, yeah, I used to love this movie, and I rewatched it again, and I was just like, this movie is fucking funny.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I didn't understand
It's
it
just
at all.
super goofy. Like, you don't,
like
when
the
you're
big
a
of mice,
kid,
the big of mice and men, dude, like who eats the
Yeah.
coin.
exactly, like, when you're a kid, you don't see characters in that light when you're watching
you don't
a
know how
scary
humans
movie.
are supposed to act.
And then when you rewatch this shit as an adult, you're like, my God, these characters are goofy as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So many good parts. Like I've been wanting to rewatch Hostel 2 a lot. Both the first and second one, and then I found out there was a third one that's supposed to be like hella bad, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we're gonna watch that. Like, because everybody's like, Hostel's just nothing but torture porn, and I'm like, that sounds great. Like, that's what films kind of needed to be at that point because we had nothing but like
Is
Japanese
mindless.
remakes back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I mean, I saw One Missed Call from Takashi Miike. Then I saw the American version. I saw The Ring, and then I saw the Japanese version. I saw Ju-on, and then it was just fucking back and forth, dude. That's why, like, you know, Speak No Evil's blowing my mind because it's like this came out like 4 years ago, and they're just like, Americans don't really like subtitles. Let's remake this.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely love Ju-on over the American Grudge
Yeah.
any day.
Yeah,
Ju-on is actually fucking
I think when I
Scary.
I think I called it was when I saw Pulse, the Japanese Pulse.
yeah.
And then I saw the American one, which is about all the ghosts taking over everybody through the internet. Which is only something like I should have known when I was 15 that like only Japan's gonna pull that weird shit off. This was
Right.
just like teenagers at high school, like looking at their like Nokia, like, oh my god, there's a ghost in here, like type shit, like so fucking bad. And then, you know, like Hostel comes out and it's like, here's gore again, and it's like, thank you, please, God, thank you.
Right.
It was so fucking good. Like,
Right.
I mean, how many Ring movies were there? I mean, like Ringu was
There were
fucking great.
so many in the
Right,
early
but every
2000s.
installment of Ringu, like at least the first 3 or 4 were awesome and made it
Yeah.
cool, and it was creepy. And then the Ring just like, we're going our own way and it's gonna be fucking terrible. Like the fucking CGI
And then
deer.
we're gonna have every single American remake exactly like this.
Yeah, it's basically like if you got made fun of by Scary Movie, like you were done. You know, I mean, I still think Signs holds up, but like a
Mhm.
lot of the shit that Scary Movie made fun of, like I can't even think about. Like I never liked the Scream movies ever, and I know that they were like, but we're making fun of slashers. I get that. Don't like them. Don't even want to fucking
I
go.
s-
I would have had 4 more Nightmare on Elm Streets.
Yeah, I still watch Signs to
Yeah.
this day. And that scene with the alien in the pantry still fucking gets me every time.
Yeah, I saw. I don't know if it's because we're doing our podcast again or what, but somebody recommended that I watch some, you know, horror movie podcast, and I don't even remember what it was, but it was this guy like saying that there's a theory that the aliens are actually Christian demons and not aliens, and that Boo is an angel, and she was actually blessing all the water. And I was just like, I don't, just stop. The movie's good enough. Just leave it alone. We don't need to go there.
I can't even process that.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other dude was like, the co-host was like, you know, I've heard you say that, and I've always watched it one way, but ever since you told me that, I keep thinking about it the other way now, and it makes so much sense. I'm like, if I watch Signs and you guys just fuck that movie up for me, I'm gonna be so fucking mad because angels don't make fucking crop circles, dog.
Well,
I'm sorry. And at one point, they talk about
dude,
when he
what the
looks out onto
fuck?
the roof and the alien's like
Yeah,
standing on the roof, and he's like, "Look at the
yeah.
posture. That's not a Gray's posture. That's a demonic posture." And I'm like, "Oh, you know this? You know these things?" And he's like, "Look at their faces. They don't look like classic Grays." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, because that's boring as shit. You're gonna put a Gray from the
They were trying to,
1950s."
yeah, they were trying to make them more menacing.
Yeah. You're gonna put a
Like,
Gray from the
uh,
1950s, like, what's that, dude?
Jesus.
Eye. With big fucking black eyes and a slit for a mouth. Speaking of another horror movie that I think deserves some love on here, or just right now in general, is the fucking, oh God, I don't want to get it wrong because the dude has done a lot, but it's also reminding me that The Prophecy also needs love. But
Mm-hmm.
like The Prophecy 1, 2, and maybe even 3. It's been a while since I've seen 3, but those movies were fucking sick.
One of my favorite underrated ones was The Relic.
The Relic.
The one with the fucking the beast that came in like the fucking statue that was sent over from.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
The
that.
Relic is an underrated fucking 90s
I
movie.
saw that real late with my because my aunt, like I said, she was the district manager at Hollywood Video, but she didn't give a fuck what we watched. And her favorite thing to do, because it was her mom's favorite thing to do, and this is why my sister is obsessed with horror movies. See, my grandparents died when I was really young on the girls' side, but my sister was obsessed with horror movies because when they would stay with my grandparents, my other sister, my cousins would go out and just like raise hell. But my introverted sister, that's a lot like me, my oldest sister, she would just sit next to my grandma. My grandma would be like, "It's getting dark. You need to go to bed because I'm gonna watch something crazy." And then like my sister's like, "No, I want to stay with you, grandma." And then at that point, my grandma is like, "We're watching what I watch, so if you get scared, fuck you." And like she would always make my sister watch Twilight Zone and The Dead Zone, or not The Dead Zone, Dark Shadows, Twilight Zone, like shit like that back in the day. So that's how my sister became obsessed with like horror. She still is to this day. I'll fucking just message her and she'll be like, "You need to like check out this crazy ass book." I actually saw a book in a random movie that I was watching the other day, and it was an old ass book by Stephen King. Or no, I was looking through family pictures and my sister was reading a book, and it wasn't by Stephen King. But I sent her the picture and she was like, "I don't know what I'm reading in that picture, but it looks crazy." And I fucking like Google and searched the cover and fucking looked through all the covers of the book, and then I found the original, and it was some crazy book about some wild ass cult, like, it was fictional or whatever. And she was like, "Yeah, that sounds about right. That's what I always read." But
Yeah.
but she was always hella into horror movies, which when I stayed with my aunt, she would grab a stack from Hollywood Video, not even ring them out, and be like, "All right, let's go home." And then she would just like put in random horror movies I fucking never knew about, and that's how I saw The Relic.
Yeah, I think like the first like official horror movie I saw was Child's Play 3.
I think that might have been
And
mine, man.
yeah,
I might
and
have saw 2 first, but I remember like 3 caught me. That's the one with the trash compactor,
and I
right?
remember when it was because we were going to my brother's friend Chris's house, and
Is that the trash compactor
I
one
think
with like the aggro crag rock from
yeah,
Nickelodeon and
yeah,
shit? Yeah,
yeah.
dude, that one's sweet as fuck.
It's so good. Yeah, that's just like they're like, "You don't know anything about this movie. You don't even know what's going down, man. Like this doll is fucking crazy." I was like, "It's a movie about a doll?" I was like, "This can't be scary."
Yup.
And of course, me being a little kid, I didn't know any better. Then they put that movie on, and like first time I see that fucking Chucky come alive, I'm like, "What the?"
Yeah, I had a My Buddy doll like hella early in life, and I didn't have one that looked anything like Chucky, but same exact outfit, same shoes and everything. And I'm like, what? Chucky didn't really scare me, but I was like, this is wild, and like I watched it a lot, and I would always
I
carry.
watched those 3 a lot.
I'm pretty sure I made
Like,
my buddy fucking movie, or my buddy doll watch the movie with me. Honestly, that's what it is. It's fucking communion, dude. We need to fucking watch Communion. Have you ever seen
yeah, I
that?
think yeah, I've seen that.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, dude. So I read Whitley Strieber like I want to say freshman or sophomore year, and I didn't like even think to look that like he was bullshit. Like, I didn't even consider it. I was like, this dude's been abducted. He's talking all kinds of real gas right now. And yeah, I read The Grays that came out in 2006. So no, I was a senior. And I read that shit. And I didn't see Communion until like 10 years ago. And it fucking broke me. It was so fucking funny, dude. When he like passes out and dreams about the fucking, basically the dwarves from Phantasm, like running around his house and fucking with him. Like, this shit killed me, dude.
Yeah, man.
And that's when Christopher Walken was like, people take me seriously. And it's like, dude, no one has ever taken you seriously. Like, how can anybody take you seriously?
You're gonna take me seriously.
It's so funny, dude. I like the fact that there could be more people on Earth with that exact accent blows my mind. Like,
wow.
I was thinking about Joe Dirt the other day.
And then the rain, come down from hell. You're gonna burn.
Him just and fucking Joe Dirt killed me. And I was only thinking about that today because, like, there was a clip from Dana Carvey in David Spade's podcast, and everybody was telling David Spade to, like, you have to denounce Chris Rock. You have to quit hanging out with Chris Rock because Chris Rock, like, Kid Rock, sorry. Kid Rock went on his whole rant about, like, somebody tried to kill Trump, now you're fucking with me type shit, which, of course, is retarded, don't get me wrong. But David Spade's like, you're not going to tell me who not to be friends with. I'm sorry, I'm a grown fucking man. I'm probably older than you, and that's just how that is. He was like, every time I go to Tennessee, Kid Rock is at all of my shows, and we just hang out afterwards, whether we're drinking or not. He says hi, he gives me a big hug, and we have a good time. And he's like, fucking tells a story about how, like, they reamed the shit out of Kid Rock playing Bobby because they wanted him to pull up in a beat up ass Trans Am when he's like fucking blasting Skinner and shit. And he's like, you want a fucking beer? And he's like, I'm cool. And he's like, no, you're not. He said when they made that scene, he wanted him to pull up in a beat up Trans Am, but the guys in props or whatever got him like a brand, like a vintage, but perfect Trans Am. So there was nothing wrong with this like 19. And when Bobby jumps out through the T-top, he fucking tears the fabric like off half the fucking seat. And he's like, Kid Rock didn't give a fuck. Like, he was just like, I think it looks cooler, man. I don't know what you're talking about. But, and he's like, it would be if somebody came up to me and told me to quit being friends with Christopher Walken. And then, like, before you came over today, I was just doing the dishes, thinking about all of his lines from that movie. They fucking killed me so much. Like, even though he's not acting, I don't even know if it's him. But when they pull him dead out from the blanket and Joe Dirt is like, or on the stretcher, and Joe Dirt is like talking about his wife that died. And he's like, I know you're never going to get to see her luscious breasts again. And then like the fake boner comes up, dude. I was just like washing dishes, just laughing my ass off. And I always forget that they made a Joe Dirt 2. And then I'm always like, I should watch Joe Dirt 2. And then I'm like, I should not watch Joe Dirt 2 because I've watched it. It is bad.
Anyway. So, yeah, in a violent nature. No, we went off on a wild tangent there for a second.
I think everybody can expect it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's what we do. We're just shooting the shit about movies, and that's kind of what podcasts do anyway. So, hey, fuck it. But yeah, in a violent nature, I would say give this movie a solid 7.
I would probably agree 100%, honestly. I wouldn't even throw it in a decimal.
A 7 out of 10. And I know we did 4 out of 5 the last one.
Hey,
so I don't know what the fuck kind of rankings we're doing in this show.
We did 2 thumbs up on another episode. It don't matter. We're all the fun critics. No.
Yeah, I definitely give this one a solid 7. Yeah, it's a good effort, and it's a good, I think introduction to
I would say, like,
this
don't watch
character.
it if you're bored, don't watch it if you're tired, because it's not going to be your jam. And don't go in, like, hoping, like, something's going to pop off, because it's not really like that. Like, it does come to an apex, the typical plot roller coaster towards 3/4 of the way through, but it's, like, it's still not like, oh, shit, I can't believe that happened. Like, you might say that for a couple of the kills, but even the kills are drawn out and slow. Like, the 3 ones I can think of right now off the top of my head are not breezy affairs. They're not sudden and impactful. It's not it's not like a shotgun going off in somebody's face and long legs. Like, it's drawn out shit each time. But
yeah.
I'd say they're worth it. I'd say the gore is worth it. I'd say this movie counts where it needs to. I just would have did things a little differently, and I know I always say that, but feel like I feel like the things that made it unique, people are hyping up too much.
Yeah,
When they say
and
there's
I
no
definitely agree.
soundtrack, and then I hear a tornado siren for 5 minutes, I'm like, that's part of soundtrack to me. I'm sorry, but like, you know, unless it's ambient, him crunching leaves, walking through the woods, I consider it a soundtrack. When there's a credit scene, a credit song, that's a soundtrack. I'm sorry, but you know, I feel like from his perspective, like, yeah, you're always nearby him, but there are scenes where it's just two teenagers talking and he's nowhere to be found. So I wouldn't really ride on anything you read. I would just go into it with your own thing and see how you feel about it.
Yeah, and I think that's why maybe I enjoyed it more because I didn't really ride the hype train of it so
I
much.
didn't
I
either
didn't like
until you were
see.
like, man, this was really sweet. And then because we were talking about it, Google caught that, and then they started just feeding me articles. And then when I would be in training, I'd be like, I literally just read one a minute ago that said the goriest movie of the year. Long Legs
I didn't see.
is gorier than this movie, and Long Legs is not a
Yeah,
gory movie.
and I mean, just by the looks of this shirt,
Yeah,
Long Legs definitely has
and this movie is more
a more fucked up
gratuitous.
disposition to it.
Like, In a Violent Nature is more gratuitous. Its kills are more brutal, but there is more gore in Long Legs. I promise you, except for maybe the one Fantastical kill. That's probably what was
Yeah.
the one big fucking wild thing.
Yeah, but think like the reason I did like this movie more than probably you did is because I went into it kind of blind. I didn't really watch a lot of trailers on it. I seen one teaser for it, and that was a while ago.
Yeah, I think that's
I
about what I
didn't.
did.
I don't really like actively seek out
I don't,
hype
but
train
if
articles on movies anymore
my phone,
because
man,
I like to.
all I gotta do is like pan to the left, and it will give me anything my microphone has picked me up talking about. It'll be like,
Yeah, me personally, I try to ignore it.
I'm probably gonna get a Joe Dirt 2 article here in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, I try to ignore that stuff because I think it gives you a better perspective when you're going to see a film.
Yeah.
And
That's why I did it for
yeah,
Long Legs. Like, I refuse to read anything for Long Legs, and that's probably why I like it so much. Because
yeah,
I've already seen
and
people crying on Twitter about how it's not that great, and I'm just like, I don't care what you think.
I don't care.
My opinion won't change, but I could
Yeah, I
also
had a good
see
friend of mine.
why they don't like it. I can see it. But
Yeah, I had a good friend of mine telling me that he absolutely hated it, and then I was like, "Well, that's fine.
that's not fine.
You can
That's not fine.
you can hate it if you want, but I would implore you to see it again
Yeah.
and maybe look at it in a different light."
I did not,
Because
I didn't notice Satan in the background of anything, dude. Now I'm like, I have to go back and watch
exactly.
it.
Yeah, and and I think like it's because people really get hyped up about movies.
Yeah.
And they get let down if
Yeah.
it's not something that they were expecting.
Yeah. And
I
I had a
want to
deep
go into a movie
conversation-
not expecting anything.
I had a deep conversation with my nephew about that the other day because, like, my nephew won't watch everything I tell him, but usually, like, when he bites, he's like, "What the fuck, dude? That was awesome," And I brought up Lynch just like off the rip. I was like, a lot of people hate Lynch, but they go in wanting something. They want this or they want that, or they watch a trailer thinking that trailer is going to tell them everything, not knowing that that's a dude like obsessed with meditation, mysticism, and all that shit.
Yeah.
It would be like
I
it would be like going to see El Topo, knowing that El Topo is a Western, but not knowing anything about fucking Jodorowsky. And then you're just like,
Yeah.
I mean, it was an okay Western, I guess. It was technically like you would fucking blow a gasket. And it's like that with Lynch, and I feel like it's like that with anything, but it's getting harder and harder to like put your shit at bay and just like go into a movie and take it.
just to ignore all the hype and ignore what people are saying about it before they even see it.
But on the flip side,
and
I hate it. I hate the over fanaticism too. Like, when I saw the trailer for Terrifier 3, and I was like probably taking a dump or something the other day, I was like, all right, let's watch it. Loaded up my phone, I'm sitting there, I'm like, cool. Flip my phone back over, just like whatever, did nothing for me. First comment I see has like 800 likes and like 20 comments after it being like, day one, going to see it, love Terrifier 2. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck?
because it's overhyped.
Yeah.
It's overhyped right now. And
But we can't say that Long Legs wasn't. They hyped the fuck out of that. That team did so good.
they did. They did, but it was different
Yeah, they have a whole
because
website up
the
right
way
now.
they did those trailers, they still left you having no idea what the movie was gonna be.
Yeah. And there's so many layers,
And
so fucking many layers. I still think about it, dude. Like at least once a day, I think about how many layers are in that fucking movie.
yeah, and I really, really think that's what made the movie as good as it was.
Yeah.
Is just that they put out these trailers for these people to see, but it was so mysterious and so odd,
Yeah. And
and
I just
none of it led you to actually what any of the story was. It was just like,
right.
here's a really fucking creepy
There's no
fucking trailer.
slap you in the mouth plot twists in that movie. It's just subversion.
No.
It's like it's gonna be no, like it's nothing where you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like Saw, but like every little turn in that movie, you're just like, this part's probably gonna wait, what? And you just have to like process it for a second and keep going. And I think like that's where I think when it's more subtle, it's better. Like don't get me wrong, like I love Saw and I love like Shyamalan movies, don't get me wrong, but like when it's that subtle shit, like I remember when Hereditary came out, I loved it for a horror movie. I didn't love it for all the subversion, all the background shit, all the cult shit. I didn't even notice it, dude. Like I watched Hereditary and I was like, I don't know what happened.
I enjoyed
That was fucking
I
crazy. And then
Yeah, I enjoyed Hereditary the first time I saw it.
right,
Mainly because of Toni Collette's performance.
yeah, and then I remember everybody dogging it like this is so boring. It's nothing but hype. It's so stupid. It's so gay. Blah blah blah. And then I talked to a few people that felt that way, and they didn't even realize there was anything occult about it. And I was just like, all right, I may not have
You
all
have
the
to watch it
clues
again.
yet, but like, did you watch the ending? It slaps you in the face in the ending. Like,
Yeah.
and those are the
Yeah.
directors I like the most, who like when the general public goes to see the movie and it just goes right over their fucking
Way
head.
over their head.
But they still made
Yeah.
gangbusters and money, and they still took it to the
And
bank.
yeah, and I'll admit, like the first time I tried to watch like a movie like Inland Empire, it went straight over my head.
But that's the thing with
I
Inland
didn't
Empire is it
understand it.
goes over everybody's head. That's the point of that fucking
Yeah,
movie.
and
David Lynch is
that was probably my mistake.
he's been
because
asked
that
50
was like,
times, like, what does that movie mean? And he's like, I'm not gonna tell you.
and that was probably my mistake because that was the first Lynch movie that I tried to watch.
Right.
And
That's a
I
rough
actually
one to be
just
the
watched,
first one.
yeah, and I just watched
I used to break open dates with that movie. I'd be like, come over, let's hang out for the first time. And then if they were just like pissed when they left, I was like, she ain't the one. It ain't worth it.
Yeah, and I just watched the David Lynch documentary on HBO Max.
Is it Oz Lynch?
I can't remember exactly what it was called. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, it was
Shoot me a
the
text.
documentary about oh no, it's called Art Life.
Okay. I'm gonna fucking look
Yeah,
that up.
it's where basically like focuses on like his more painting endeavors and
Dude, he just put
how
out
he
an
became
album.
a painter.
He just put out an album with one of the chicks from Twin Peaks. Like he's done a bunch of albums.
And I was actually kind of clueless. I didn't know he was a painter.
Yeah, the
But
man's done a lot.
And yeah, I was like watching like how he goes through the process of like creating, and it's absolutely mesmerizing.
Yeah, he's been the
It's
subject of quite a few really good documentaries of just him telling stories and shit, kind of like Kevin Smith.
but yeah, while he does like these multiple projects, it's basically just him narrating his career of painting
Mhm.
and how he got into it and who his mentor was and like all this other stuff. And there's multiple scenes with him like creating things with his daughter,
Yeah,
and it's really amazing and really kind of touching at the same time.
Right.
Really, really heartfelt.
yeah, it bums me out every time
if-
I see him now because he's just getting up there, and I know we don't have much time
He's
left.
getting really, he's
I'm
getting
like,
older,
fuck,
and
dude.
you can tell like he's kind of like gotten to that point in life where he just wants to like kind of settle down a bit and just
I think
create.
he made peace with his
art.
death like when he was in his 40s, probably. Because I mean, he's super into like rebirth. He's super into like transcendental meditation. So he's probably already died 1,000 times in his own head. He's probably just gonna go quietly into the night one night. But yeah, man, he's definitely a huge influence on me and always has been. And like, I just I watched. So I don't know if you saw the Aliens documentary, Memory or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that director, I looked up the director of that documentary, and he's made like nothing but great fucking documentaries. I will.
Yeah, he also did the It documentary as well,
Yeah.
didn't he?
So he put out one called Lynch Oz because David Lynch has always been obsessed with Wizard of Oz, and it's always been in his movies in like little droplets and shit. But it has 4 directors tell like what Lynch means to them, and like all the times they've like noticed Wizard of Oz in his work. And then like the end has Lynch just talking about Wizard of Oz and how much it inspired him. But one of the directors is John Waters, and he's like, dude, I've known Lynch since we started. Like we started together, and we used to write movies next to each other. Like he'd be working on Eraserhead, I'd be working on Pink Flamingos, and we were just best friends. And like it's just so cool to hear them talk about each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good documentary if you haven't seen it. It's pretty
Probably watch that tonight. But
pretty
yeah, look up Lynch Oz, man.
it's pretty heartfelt, and I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave me a better like perspective of David Lynch and how he creates.
Yeah.
And how he looks at art.
I mean, he
and
did my
how
favorite Nick
he
Cage movie,
perceives it.
which was Wild at Heart, dude. That movie's fucking insane. It's just a whole like 2 hours of Nicolas Cage acting like an Elvis fucking imposter. Like it's fucking great. And Willem Dafoe just being a fucking gross rapist with fucked up ass teeth. Like it's such a fucking good movie.
Yeah.
But definitely check out Lynch Oz, for sure, if you like want to look into more of his shit.
Anyway, so yeah, we're closing the book on In a Violent Nature. I think the next podcast we're gonna do is Late Night with the Devil. And I'm really excited to get into that one because I've watched that movie now 3 times.
What's it
And I
on
loved
normally?
it
Like
every time.
like steadily.
Shudder. It's
Okay.
on Shudder. Yeah,
might have
which I
to
got my
get your shit back.
subscription back if you want the password on that.
Yeah,
and
because
shit.
I watched a
I'll send
pirated
it to you.
version, and it was a good pirated version, but I kind of want to rewatch it before we do it, so I might get your password off you before then.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you like this video, definitely like and subscribe and give us a big thumbs up. Leave a comment in the section what you thought about the movie, what you liked, what you didn't like about it.
Yeah, if you sit through this shit
you
this
hated
long,
us talking about it,
if you-
leave a fucking message in the bottom,
if you sit
whatever
through
the
it
fuck
this
you
fucking
want.
long, you deserve to tell us what the fuck you thought about this movie. It's just that.
Exactly. Yeah, and definitely tune in for the next podcast that we're going to do with episode 14, I think it is. It's 14 now. With
Closing
Late
in
Night
on
with the Devil.
on the quinceañera.
Anyway, you guys have a good day, and thanks again.
Later, guys.